Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story Podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, it's Ivy Slater, and welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. So today we have a guest coming to me from, actually she's out of 2 states, and I'm going to have Lori share that with you. But Lori Hibma, I'll get that right, is an entrepreneur. She has experience of going from a one-woman operation at the kitchen table to running 2 marketing agencies that serves clients from coast to coast. And as a beloved CEO and leader, she shares a wealth of wisdom and knowledge acquired while building her business and leading a dedicated team of marketing professionals. As Lori and I talk today, we're going to be looking at what it's like to run 2 different businesses and how that developed, as well as the interesting curves we've all taken as business leaders in this 2020 journey. So Lori, welcome for joining me today.
Thank you, Ivy. It's a pleasure to be here.
So as a mom of 4 kids, let's call it reality here. How in the world did you end up starting not 1 business, but 2 at a blink of an eye?
Well, and it's kind of funny because, actually getting started came on as a surprise. It was a surprise. I had never planned on starting a business, owning a business. But the reality was, still is, that I wanted time for my family. I wanted to be around my family more. And for those people who know me, I don't like getting told what to do. So
I like that.
Being my own boss kind of has a lot of those privileges, right? I mean, I don't want to work that day. I don't have to, unless of course I want to get paid. But, at least I have the freedom, a lot of freedom that came with that. So, getting started with 4 kids in the background from the kitchen table, the idea was that this was just going to be like a side hustle, honestly. Do a little bit of internet marketing here and there, build some websites. And I guess what I would say is that what started this was accidental or by surprise in some ways. And then when it came around, it came with a lot of hard, long hours. And at the same time, I remember actually at that time, Ivy, describing somebody, a friend of mine asked me, how's business going? And I remember telling her that this is just a beast and it's hungry and consuming all at the same time. And I think that's kind of part of the thrill, right, of starting a business too.
So share a little bit, because you have an interesting market development. So how you ended up, you're really niche down. Share a little bit about how that came about and that impact of how it enabled you to scale and grow.
Yeah. So I have always had some form of marketing in my background. I had my own business early on, back in the day when you actually used film inside of cameras. I was a photographer. And on top of that, then I went into hospitality and tourism. And when I got tired, the thing about hospitality and tourism, it's a great market. You meet so many interesting and fun people, but it never sleeps. So you're talking 365, 24/7. And I was putting in just crazy hours. And so I took a job with a doctor and started working with her, started doing her marketing. I was also her practice administrator. I also worked the front desk, the back desk. I did all sorts of different things, did a bunch of different things. And then it came time where she was ready to change her business model a little bit and go in a different direction. At that point, I'd been introduced to 2 different business coaches that she worked with. And one of them was more of an advisor. And I remember him telling me he had been looking at all of the numbers of the practice and books and done a practice valuation. And I just remember him telling me, I don't know why you're not working for yourself. He goes, it just doesn't make sense to me, because he and I had obviously, as the practice administrator, he and I had been in communication a lot. And so he just told me, he said, I don't know why you work for anybody else. He goes, you do realize you have a talent for this and you should be on your own. And I thought, but it's that bug. He put that little bug in my ear.
It's that little, I was going to say a bug, a light bulb moment that you say,
Yeah, exactly. And then there was another business coach that was helping her with her marketing and practice management. And he kind of said the same thing, but he didn't quite come out and say it the same way. So it was as if I got the message twice from two different sources that hadn't talked to each other. And I thought, I wonder, is it doable? Because at that point, I mean, yeah, I had my own photography business, but at that point, the idea of being self-employed, the idea of doing it on my own, being responsible for my own income was petrifying, quite frankly. It scared me to death. But by getting involved with this doctor and getting involved with these business coaches, I was able to make connections in the industry, in the medical industry. And because of those connections, work continued to come in, and people in the community, other people who weren't even in those medical connections, started coming to me for help. And that's why there's two agencies, because one focuses specifically in the medical industry, the medical niches. And then the other one is more local business and smaller business, small to medium-sized businesses that don't fall inside medical. So that's why there's two companies, but that's how I kind of got started specifically into the medical niche.
And, I'll always say, that there's a huge separation between people who have ideas or people who are saying, gee, why haven't you? And then the people who take action on those ideas.
Yeah. Because I mean, at some point in time, don't we all get told, hey, you should do this?
Absolutely. You ought to do this. This is a great idea. Oh my God, you do so well at this. Why aren't you doing this by yourself? And then that's the huge population. And then the selected population that actually takes the actions and build really successful businesses. So how long have you been doing this?
Almost 11 years.
And so in 11 years, a couple of things that I know is you have a staff of over 20, over 9,000 square feet of office. You've truly built out two successful agencies.
Yes, we have.
What are some of the surprises that have come your way in this journey?
Oh, wow. Well, surprises. I think that there are two things that the biggest surprises that have come to me come in a couple of different forms. First of all, it never goes the way you planned it. And it's funny because after 11 years, I still find myself thinking, I'm going to go down this path. This is what it's going to look like. This is how we're going to do it. And something like COVID shows up, right? I mean, I think
that's the 2020 surprise.
Yeah. A friend of mine was like, yeah, April's been the longest year of my life. I agree with that. I agree with that. But I think those are so that's one thing in business is that never goes the way you plan. It can twist and turn on you in a blink of an eye. It's nice to be able to plan as much as you can, but I think the biggest surprise comes when your plans fail and somehow you still succeed. To me, that's a big surprise all the time, because I can make all these plans and just really, plan everything out to the dime, to the letter, make travel plan, do all these different things. And something unexpected happens. And then in the end, though, or as you're going through it, all of a sudden you realize, hey, this was actually not that bad. We're going to get through this. Wasn't what we expected, wasn't what we planned. And sometimes it's not even, we're just going to get through it. Sometimes it's, wow, we're now better than we were before. So yeah, I think those are some of the biggest surprises. I've had a lot of people walk up to me and they still seek me out to talk to. That surprises me all the time.
I do get that. And
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Do you still go back and plan?
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. That's, I'm a list maker, a list taker. I probably have tried every type of organizational tool out there. But yeah, I'm always planning. In fact, I would say that it's the planning that helps with all that. You asked what success is or what surprised me. And I think there's a lot of different surprises that come across, but it's what you do with those successes from those surprises that make a difference. That's what I think.
I love that. So continue to plan, stay in the journey of it. And then when you see those successes, those opportunities, and what you do with that, is where the lessons and the growth are.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this, because this is something that I have the pleasure of knowing, and I think it'd be intriguing for our listeners. Your business is located in one state and you live in another.
Yeah.
Now, pre-COVID, remote work was always on a very often limited basis, or as it looked like. But you have a major office with a good sized staff. How did you navigate it, and what do you see shifting and changing in the world? That was the two loaded questions, by the way, Lori.
Yeah, I'm like, wow. So how did I navigate it? First of all, I started from my kitchen table, and I have always been somebody who's done well working alone, but also working with a team. And I need both. I actually know that about myself. It's something that I know fulfills me. Is I need those days where I can just kind of hunker down and just plow through some work and get it done and feel so accomplished when you're done. But then I also need to be around people. I need to see my team. I like talking to them. I like watching their wheels spin when they get excited about a project, or when we have a client that's just killing it and everybody's just so ecstatic and happy over the work that's been done. So I need both. So, for me, working remotely has always been part of the territory. But with the COVID situation, everybody's working remotely. So that's a pretty major change, because you never know. Like, some people can work remotely, some people can't. You just don't know what to expect there. I'm extremely happy to say my team has just been absolutely amazing. They're killing it. They're just doing such a good job, and
so
they're taking such good care.
Right. So how are they showing up that when you express they're killing it, they're doing such a good job? What are you seeing from them?
I think one of my biggest fears when we went remote is people were going to have a hard time staying focused. They were going to have a hard time paying attention. When you're at home, it's easy to get distracted. There's dogs, there's kids, there's dishes, there's laundry, there's everything else that's going on. And especially when everybody is at home, right? It's not just you working from home, everybody's working from home. So multiple times there are multiple people working from. I have one employee who's got 3 people right now who work remotely. And so they all alternate rooms, which I thought was a great thing. So every day each one of them works in a different room. But when I say my team's just killing it, they have stayed so focused, and their production, not just the amount of work they're doing, but the quality of work they're doing has just been amazing. It was not what I was expecting. I was expecting some challenges. And for some it is, I'm not kidding. It would be really foolish of me to think that everybody just wants to do this all the time, because there are a lot of them that are like me and they really want to be around people. But I think that we're all seeing, what we're capable of when you can't just like rely on the person sitting next to you to give you an answer. Right.
Right. And you have to go that extra mile. You internally go that extra mile because we can't look to the right or the left for the solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get on that next Zoom call or whatever that looks like for a little while.
Yep.
So you instinctively do the work to figure things out, do the work that might go and take you that extra mile longer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been really great because, some of our staff are pretty young. And so this experience has given them some confidence, like they're building their own confidence in themselves, in their skills. And as a result, when we're doing our Zoom meetings and our staff meetings, which we do every, couple times each week, everybody's on Zoom, everybody's looking at everybody else. We do a roll call, the whole 9 yards. And one of the things we're finding is when they show up at these meetings and they've got ideas, they're so much more confident in talking to us about it and wanting to share that with us. And that's been an incredible benefit of this.
In this year, how have you, I know you've worked with business coaches before, and we're always very often looking at goals and what we're doing, what we're accomplishing. What shifts or adjustments have you made in the growth of your firm this year, for any adjustments in the goals you've set? How do you see that piece of the business puzzle when you have been scaling?
So what goals have I shifted is kind of
Or
what
have
you're
you
asking.
even?
Yeah. In some way, yeah, actually, I have. There's a couple things happening in the company and with the company right now that at a later date, you and I will talk about. I can't talk about them yet, but there's some changes coming. And, at the beginning of this year, they were not changes I was expecting at all. They're all good. Oh my gosh, they're great. But this time with the whole 2020 lifestyle, what I'm going to call a lifestyle now almost, it makes me reevaluate all of our goals, makes me reevaluate the company as a whole and look for different ways, better ways to be different. But it's also some of the goals were, okay, there's always the other goal, the additional goal of additional revenue streams. There's always the extra goal of better services, better products. But this has made us think about those things completely differently. The goal one of the biggest goals right now is, because we are working with doctors and their lives completely changed 100% with COVID. And so we're constantly evaluating, and like one of our biggest goals now is, okay, let's just assume that this is also going to be a part of the fall in 2020. Right. So how are we going to help our doctors? How are we going to help our clients? What can we do for them now that we wouldn't have thought to do before this? And then it goes down the road of, are we doing enough, or are there additional services and products that we need to look into? Maybe it's app development for the doctors. Maybe what can we do to help them navigate this if this becomes a more normal part of how they have to treat their patients?
So I love that. What you're doing is you're really staying in the pulse of your clients, what problems are coming up for them, and how you can be potential solutions to make their businesses run effective and more efficient within your sweet spot of area of marketing.
Yeah, exactly. And, to give you an example, so telemedicine, right? Big deal. It wasn't as big of a deal. It was becoming more and more popular, but it's now a very big deal. And one of the problems that we're addressing and working with our clients is the doctors are adopting telemedicine pretty well, actually doing a really good job with it. But you have an older population of patients that struggle with technology.
Yes.
So what can we do to help the doctors get the message out to their patients, or even help develop an app or something along those lines that they can use to help those patients that struggle with technology, right? You can't just look at it. I know we do our marketing and we're a marketing agency, but you can't just look at it from that one piece. You have to look at it and think, this is so much bigger than just marketing. And you cannot just continue to talk to the patients about, on the doctor's behalf, about what the doctor can do for them. You actually have to get involved in helping the doctors show them that. And I think that's probably the biggest change that we are having to look at and focus on. And it's actually really, really exciting. And we're building goals around that. So yeah, to answer your question, I would say that's probably the biggest thing there.
So Lori, how does our audience continue to learn more about you, follow you, see more? You're a woman on the move. You're a woman who is a genius and brilliant, and gutsy and ambitious.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of different ways. Obviously, they can always find me on the website. The best website to go to for us is VMD Services. It's Victor. So VMD, Victor Mary David Services.com. And so they can always find us there, but they can also find us on our podcast, which is beforehappyhour.com. And so they can find us in either of those places. And I'm fine too. We can publish my information. People can call me directly. I've always welcomed that too. So no problem there.
Fabulous. And listeners, always don't panic. All this information and all these links are in the show notes below. You too can continue to follow Lori, stay in touch with Lori, giving Before Her Happy Hour podcast a quick listen. And again, to continue to expand your knowledge on podcasts, great content, and how we can all continue to learn together. Lori, thank you for joining me here today.
You bet, Ivy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And listeners, remember to just click below, hit subscribe. We come into your inbox every Monday morning with fresh interviews as well as content. And really important to me on a personal note, let me know your biggest takeaway from today's call. What was the piece that impacted you, and what is the piece that you're ready to take action on? That's what this is about at Her Success Story. See you next time.
Don't need your approval anymore, 'cause I've got mine.